Hey everybody, there's good days and there's bad days around here. Today is a good day. First of all, after all that miserable dang cold wind that we suffered in all day yesterday, today it's sunny and it's nice. In fact, these insulated pants I've got on, roasting out of them, so I got to change out of those and get back outside. Another thing, like all the other YouTube shows, they have an intern show up and they make them do a bunch of the dirty work and all that, yeah? Well, no joke, today the new possible intern showed up and he brought a couple of toys with him. I'm going to take you out in the yard and show you what he's doing out there. First, let me get out of these insulated pants. See those babies right there? On a cold day, that's good stuff. It's like wearing your pajamas under your pants. But when it gets warm outside, that'll get you in panic mode, trust me. All right, that's much better. Got into some decent jeans. Those insulated ones had me sweating it out. It was no good. And while I was changing my pants, look what I found. Hidden stash, Guaraná Antártica, original do Brasil. We're going to celebrate the nice weather and how good things are going outside. Come out there, I'll show you what we're doing. So this guy's name, he goes by Rope Hog. You'll find out if you get to know him well enough. Anyways, he's a truck driver, heavy equipment operator, mechanic, and a cowboy. So he's just the man. I'll get you to meet him in a little while, but I'm gonna put you on fast mode. What is that? Time lapse. I'm gonna put you on time lapse and we're gonna clean some of this manure out of here. Get it moved. So I love old Rope Hog. Everybody does. The more you get to know him, you'll love him too. But one thing about Rope Hog, every time I hang out with him, he winds up making me into a truck driver. We'll tell you more about that later, but yeah, he seems to get me behind the wheel of these things every time I hang out with him. You know, when I was doing all that hay hauling this last summer, especially hauling 2 40-foot trailers, that wasn't too bad of a deal. You could park there and almost get a nap while the guy's getting you loaded with hay. This dump truck fills up way too fast. I barely get parked, relaxed, and start to daydream, and Rope Hog, he's honking at me. Honk, honk, you're loaded, get moving. They need to make these things bigger. Pens are looking pretty good. A lot of manure came out of there. Look over there. And that's just 2 of the 4 pens, and those other 2 pens have even more manure, so it's going to be a big job getting it all out of here. Okay, everybody, it got dark on us. We even hauled several loads in the dark, but we finally gave it up. We've got 1 pen left to haul over there.
3 out of the 4 complete.
So, I told you, every time I hang out with Rope Hog, he turns me into a trucker. And I'm not a trucker. On this channel, we joke around and we use the term super trucker kind of lightly sometimes. But Rope Hog is the true super trucker, not me.
Well, you know, we got to deliver those things all over the country, so I'm used to it.
Anyway, so in loving memory of Don L. Bundy, I want to tell the re-ride story of my time being a super trucker.
The re-ride?
So what year was it that the money was flowing right and left in North Dakota?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the year, but it's been 4 or 5 or 6 years ago now. No, more than that, because it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2010.
Yeah.
Right?
So about 2010. So I've had lots of adventures over the years and been broke several times.
2011.
One of the times that I found myself broke, somebody told me, hey, up there in North Dakota, they're throwing money in the air and whoever can grab it can have it. And so,
I said, Ram, if you can drive a truck, there's money to be made.
So to get unbroke, I called up and Rope Hog said, yeah, I can get you a job driving a truck up here. And another buddy of ours, a relative, Don L. Bundy, who passed away just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
He got talking to me and he said, yeah, I'm broke. I ain't got nothing going on either. Let's go. So I got online on Craigslist and started trying to look for a vehicle I could afford to get up there. So I punched in Craigslist and I put any car under $500. And
I forgot about that.
there were several wonderful cars that came up. I went to St. George and tried out one. The doors didn't open and it was a hunk of junk. And then I headed up to Parowan to try out a 1985 Toyota Celica, red.
That's where you found
And that car was pretty sweet. Got it for, was it 500, Mama? 500 even,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Bought the car for $500, drove it back home.
Loaded Donnell, and Donnell's a big boy. And all your gear for the winter time in North Dakota.
A week's worth of food.
And a few days later, they showed up in North Dakota saying, here we are.
So the night before I headed out to North Dakota, I realized there was a crack in the plastic radiator on that car. I was like, man, North Dakota's a long way. So I went and got some JB Weld and I used the whole tube of it on that radiator, caked it on there.
Right on.
And then prayed over it. Oh, I hope this works.
There's a plug for JB Weld right
there. Anyway, then that night, Little Ram, he was just a little guy, and he climbed in the back seat of that Toyota Celica and was crying, wouldn't get out. He said he wasn't going to let me go to North Dakota without him. His mama finally had to drag him out of the back seat of there, kicking and screaming and bawling. So that was rough.
Yeah.
I picked up Donnell,
And I thought, you know, it's only going to make him nervous to tell him about that JB well. And I'm like, it's either going to work or it's not, whether he's nervous or not. So I never told Donnell that night in the dark I had JB welded the
Wasn't this a
radiator.
joint venture? I thought you guys were supposed to buy that car together.
He still owes me for it. Anyway, we head out, and Donnell and I drove to North Dakota. Dorian got us set up, and we went to work
The next day.
And I became a super trucker. I was hauling dirty water from a well that it was coming out of to a disposal well. So the well we picked it up was on the east side of Watford City, and then it was like 72 miles.
Is that where you were hauling out?
Yeah, it was 72 miles. You go through Watford City and then dump it in this well over there.
Wow.
I drove that truck for 11 days, day and night, back and forth and back and forth. There was a really, really sorry plastic plastic outhouse where I loaded, and there was a really sorrier plastic outhouse where I unloaded.
And you lived in
That was
truck.
my 2 restrooms. I lived in that truck and drove back and forth for 11 days, and then what did I do?
Went home and never came back.
I bailed. I called and got a plane ticket. I found Donnell and said, Donnell, drive me to the airport. I am out of here. Donnell drove me over to the airport, and I never saw my red car again. And I don't know, I might have been back to North Dakota, but it hasn't been on a trucking job.
I haven't seen it since then.
Anyway, Donnell lasted a little longer than me.
Yeah, he stayed for a few years.
I think he even drove the red Toyota Celica back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever died or where it wound up.
I don't know what ended up with it,
Just a
good story.
Just a few months ago, he had a horse he wanted to sell me, and in the deal, he said he was going to knock $500 off to pay for the Toyota
car.
Celica. I ended up not buying the horse, so he still owes me for the car.
Well, speaking of Donnell, I bought a horse from him, and he was just a bag of bones. I mean, and Dad's like, we have been taken. But I got a saddle on him, and he goes, well, you don't look as bad with a saddle on. But he was a really good rope horse. I roped on that horse for years. He was a really nice rope horse. And Donnell, then about 5 years later, came back and wanted to buy him back. And I said, no. At that point, I was competing pretty hard on him.
Yep, Donnell liked to have a horse. He liked somebody to rope on it, even if it wasn't him. He liked it if it was. But, you know, he drove me to my first ever Booger Barger truck roping down in Phoenix when I was a teenager.
Really?
Yep, he come to the house in Vail, and we hooked onto my dad's new stock trailer that he just got. And Donnell drove us all night in a blizzard down to Scottsdale, and then we roped and almost won a truck, one of those stories. He drove us home. We got all the way back home. It was snowing, and he slid in the irrigation ditch, turning into my parents' house. My dad had to come out there in the middle of the night, drag us up out
The
of
only
the ditch.
mishap was right in front of the house.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I got a few blizzard stories. Me and Brock Andrus were going to Farmington to the pro rodeo over there. And it was snowing like crazy coming home, and I missed the turn going. We ended up down in Window Rock. Brock wakes up and he says, Window Rock, 5 miles. What are we doing in Window Rock?
So tell me how I got wrong. Well, I didn't do it. I just took a nap. Me and my buddy Ty went and roped in Farmington at one of the ZD ropings one time.
Yeah.
And we were headed home from Farmington, and there's a spot where you're supposed to turn right, but I was sleeping, he was driving.
Yeah.
And he went straight.
That's the same place I got lost with
Oh.
Brock. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've
It's
done the
easy
same
to
thing.
do.
It's because I was napping. I knew where to go, and there wasn't no blizzard. I was navigating and sleeping and let Ty drive clear on down.
Well, there really aren't any other roads until you get to Window Rock.
So then you get all the way down there and get on the highway. It's just kind of a long way.
Yeah.
You can still get home. It's just a long way home.
Yeah. Takes you about another 100 miles out of your way.
Yeah, I've done that. It was a nice nap.
You can see behind me, Rope Hog's out here early. He's gonna get the rest of that manure moved, and then he's got to head back over to St. George. I'm gonna try to get these cattle fed and then help him. And then about noon, Mama and I are gonna head to Tonopah, watch regional or divisional basketball game that Roxy's in over there. So get a few things done and then go play, see some basketball. Sound of success. Now for the backhoe. It'll be a good day. This is a PTO. Switch that PTO in while it's in gear, then you can take it out of gear. That just opens up the back tailgate and starts to dump.
This is like the last scoop. This is actually the last scoop. This has been over 100 loads in that dump truck.
All right, that was a lot of poop removed. It went well though. We had the right machinery for the job. Rope Hog's gonna pop the hood and show us what he's got here.
Had champion pooper scooper there.
That was nice to have.
And the other half of the job is 1994 Peterbilt. Those you motorheads, it's got a Caterpillar 3406E. The dust has collected and made it look terrible.
And
Looks at about 500 horse.
You recently put that in here?
Yeah, the motor is actually out of a wreck truck. I just swapped it. It had the same exact motor in it. But this one I just put in like last spring. The other one gave up the ghost, developed a water leak that caused it to lose my bottom end out of it. But anyhow, yeah, but this one's running like a champ. It's a good motor. Like I say, it's putting out at least 500 horse. And I haven't dynoed it, so I don't know exactly. But got the high lift gate, so all that crap slid out easy for Ramsey.
Yeah, that was nice. So after a while, I quit latching the gate every time. I just put it down.
That gate's heavy enough that you're not going to lose manure.
Yeah.
Looks like we got us a couple of twines hanging on.
Save that, you can fix something with it later.
Stuck under that.
Let's go talk to Dorian.
Whoa, look who's here. What you? Okay, Rope Hog's got to take his toys and go home, but he said he'll be back soon. So, thanks for the poop hauling, Rope Hog. Look at that mountain of crap. The kids are all over there having a fun time playing on it. That project's done. On to the next one.
Check that mailbox.